everyone. Welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. My name's Tom Springer, host of the show. If you're looking at me, that means it's Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. I think you're sitting at 2 out in Hawaii, 6 or 7 a.m. out in Indonesia, and about 9 to noon tomorrow out in Australia. What's up, Joe? Let me know if I'm wrong on the time. How you doing, brother? Good to see you here. As you know, I host a show. If you've never been here before, let me tell you a little something. I host this show every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. I bring on a guest, and we just kind of talk about whatever we want to. That's kind of how the show runs. You can ask questions over in the comments. Feel free to do that. Make comments, ask questions, do whatever for me or for the audience members or for the guests. So any of that works. So Joe, thanks for fixing that. I did say 2 p.m., so I figured I was back on track with you guys as far as the daylight saving stuff. So I'm glad I'm back on track with that one. Anyways, welcome. I do have on a special guest, and I am actually bringing on who is someone who is normally sitting in as an audience member, but she is very much a participant when she is an audience member and gives a lot of good advice. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in Debbie right now. Everyone say hi to Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Stuart, what's going on, brother? Glad you showed up. Glad you're here. Hopefully your internet stays with us. So, you know how this works. Nikki's saying, look at you on as a guest. So,
hi, Nikki.
So you know how this works. You've been on the other side of it to where people can't see your face, but they can see all the typing. Oh, look, Zach Powers is popping in to say hi to you. So, sorry, I got to take a drink really quick.
Hi, Zach.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I always want to do with you and people that have on. I always want to do the hi, long time listener, first time caller type of thing. So hey, BJ, what's going on, brother? Stuart's saying, yep, glad, plan to stay. Table on the floor. This one must be yours. One of your friends or something. How you doing? Oh, it's actually someone over from my Twitch channel. So hey, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Jamie's popping in to say hi, as we always do. So, and you know this is going to happen for the next 5-10 minutes. So we're just going to go ahead and start to talk
good
as people start to roll in and say hi. So anyways, welcome to the show. Thank you for being in the audience and now being a guest on the show, because you always have really good advice to share with us when you are in the audience. So it's time to start. You know, I've had Jamie on and stuff like that. I'm still working on trying to get a good time to where I can bring on Joe. That will be an interesting one because he has all the cool Big Island stories and everything else that a lot of people don't know about. Definitely a different culture over there, and it always amazes me when he talks about stuff. And it's stuff I've never heard of or just don't know because I'm dumb and I just listen to, North American stuff. So, Jeanette, how you doing? Hi, sweetheart. How you doing? Rob saying hello. Rob Autry.
Rob. Rob's over on, he's a co-host on Paranormal Soup, and he and my other friend Jamie are co-hosts there, and they also host Weird Wednesday on Wednesday evenings, which
very nice.
on in my group.
Yeah. So, Rob, do me a favor. If you want, where you're at, you're on Facebook right now. So do me a favor. If you want, I don't care if you advertise on here, post your link. Post your link in the chat right here and let people know so they can come over and check you out too. I don't care. I don't really care. So I'm into that big Para-Unity stuff. People want to jump on my site and put their stuff on my site and everything else. Do it. That's what it's there for. So, so I am going to ask you the same question I ask all of my audience or my guests right off the bat, because I don't even know this about you. Well, I kind of do since we talked, but I don't know the story behind it. When did you start realizing you had abilities? What made you kind of do what you're doing now? And like, what kind of brought you about to this?
Well, I had like my first experience when I was 4, when I heard something under my bed, and I looked underneath my bed and there's a Native American under my bed. And at that age and that time, it scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh my God.
Scared me at this age and at this time. So yeah, sure.
I wouldn't sleep in my room for a couple of months. I stayed in with my mom. And then I had another experience when I was 13. A group of friends and I, we stayed in this like abandoned house, and we were spending the night. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw this big man's figure standing in the doorway. And I woke up my friends, and they weren't seeing him, but I was seeing him. And so at that time and that age, it was all, well, that's just your imagination. Ghosts aren't
Mm,
real. And,
yeah.
and I kind of just blocked it away. I had some like precognitive dreams of like a plane crash, and it actually happened the next day. And so I was like, I don't ever want to have that happen again. And so that it
Right.
stopped. That completely stopped. And I didn't have any more experiences then until I was like in my 20s when my grandmother passed away and I moved to New York City, and I started getting signs from her a lot. And then I'd like, every time I drive around the block, I go under the street light, and the street light would go out, and just little weird things that I knew it was my grandma.
Right.
And as I got older, I ended up getting hit by a drunk driver. I got sick and ended up in bed. And it was really kind of when things started to, I started to get a lot more signs when I was alone all the time in my bedroom in like a meditative state a lot. I hadn't yet learned to meditate, but I was just always in a calm, relaxed, meditative state most of the time. And so I would hear somebody saying my name, or I'd feel somebody brush my hair or touch me on the top of the head. And I'm like, what the, And so I started looking for spiritual groups on Facebook and paranormal groups. And I got involved in a couple different spiritual groups on Facebook where they offered classes or they had live streams where they explained those type of things that were going on.
Right.
So I started my own group mainly as a place to archive my own evidence and to practice doing ITC, share the, videos of that, or share the photos. I do scrying with water or smoke or steam or fire. And I take pictures, which is basically a form of divination or spirit communication, where spirit can use reflective images or smoke or steam to show themselves. And it's difficult to see with the human eye in real time, but if you take a bunch of pictures in rapid succession, you'll be amazed at the images you can get.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I started doing that. I started doing like ITC, instrumental trance communication, EVPs, audio apps that friends of mine were developing, and I'd get a chance to beta test them before they put it on the market. I was in some ITC groups, and different ones in the group would get together, and we'd get together like on YouTube and kind of like Zoom through, I think it was through Google, and they would have their box on over at their place. Rob was one of them. Rob would do this. He'd have his spirit box running, and I'd think of something, or I'd hold something in my hand, and we asked the spirit at Rob's house to tell me what I was
Tell me
holding.
what it is. Yep.
And they would say it, and it was just blowing my mind. And so I decided, well, I'm getting obvious spirit communication through this and through other forms of divination. I really want to expand my knowledge and my abilities. I learned that everybody's born with abilities. It's just most of us shut them down because of the conditioning and programming of the outside world, especially here in the States.
Yeah.
Where we're not taught that we have access to that.
Right.
And so I joined groups. I took all the free classes I could take: psychic development, mediumship, just any type of class I could take, Reiki, crystal Reiki, just anything to just learn more so I could develop and be able to connect without having to use a device. And that's how I got into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so you're bringing up those courses and everything else. I know that I'm even one of them. But I know there's courses that I should be taking to help further my abilities and just my knowledge base. But man, they're expensive. I don't know if I can keep up with the cost. So
they are, but some of them that I took were offered to me for free. Like my psychic development, I think I paid for the first one I did on that, but then I got offered a job as a moderator for some other mediums in a group, I think it was Soul Star Mediums on Facebook, and they decided to put together classes and offer classes. And because I was doing work as a moderator for them in their group, I got it for free.
Nice.
So there was a fair energy exchange. I was putting in a lot of hours of work every day to help them out, but I also got their knowledge for free. And so there's ways that you can find, as long as you're doing a fair energy exchange, where you can get the knowledge for free. And that's how I did it, because I didn't have the money to take the courses. But they've either been gifted to me, or won a scholarship, or I've done a fair energy exchange.
Yeah.
And, that's how I've gotten.
I haven't thought of that one. So, yeah. So we have a couple of questions on here already. Jeanette is asking, to be a paranormal investigator, do you have to be professional to do it?
No. I mean, I basically, all of the investigations I've done, I went out and did on my own. I had a few pieces of equipment, but to me, the most important piece of equipment was my own body.
Right.
What I was feeling, what I was perceiving, what I was getting, what I would hear, what I would see. I took a lot of pictures. Because I had done the scrying, I'm able to see spirit images in regular photos during the daytime, nighttime. I'm just able to perceive it or pick it up easier than a regular person can. And just what I feel, what I get emotion-wise, sometimes my emotions will change. And I'm like, is that me? No, that's not me. Why would I feel that way? So
what happened that would have made me change like that? Nothing.
Right.
Something else. Yeah.
Your body's your best tool.
I agree with that 100%. So,
if you can't communicate with spirit, if you don't have any mediumship or psychic abilities yet, you haven't developed them yet, there's so many amazing ITC apps out there that are, inexpensive or free. That you can take with you on your phone. All you have to have is a smartphone. You don't have to buy all of the expensive pieces of paranormal equipment that you see on all the shows.
You can buy an audio, like a little tiny audio recorder.
Yeah, digital recorder.
$15-$20, get a digital recorder. Take a camera with you. Whatever. Take your smartphone, take pictures, because you mentioned that. And when I was at Malvern Manor, when Nikki and I were at Malvern Manor, I took a series standing in a hallway called the Nurses Hallway. I took a series of 5 shots back to back to back to back to back. 2 of them, absolutely nothing. The next 2 had these huge, long, white streaks right down the middle of them, and the last one, absolutely nothing. And I felt the energy change as that happened, as they were coming towards me. So I knew it. But Jeanette, you don't have to have abilities. You just got to have the desire to go out and kind of check out places that aren't too crazy. And I would say start with stuff that's not too crazy, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation you can't get yourself out of. But maybe do local cemeteries. Maybe see if there's paranormal groups around you that will allow you to come on and investigate with them. Maybe once or twice or something like that. Kind of see how it's done. There's I didn't know this for the longest time until I did a Facebook search, but there's actually like an Omaha place here, and there's also a larger Nebraska society, and I'm sure if I reached out to them, they would let Nikki and I go with them to, just to go on the investigations once and twice, just to try to see how they do it compared to how we do it and everything else. So you don't have to be an expert. You just have to have a desire and just go out there and start doing it. Don't be frustrated if you don't get anything, because 99% of the time you're not going to get something. It's that 1% you get something, you're like, oh, I got to go back out again. So that's what stirs you up and makes you want to go again.
The only thing that I would say for somebody new, if you're going out on your own without anybody that is professionally does it, just, before you leave the place, just set the intention and say it loud and clear. You cannot attach to me. You cannot come home with me. You have to stay here, and maybe get you some white sage and smudge yourself, smudge your car, so you don't bring anything home. Most of the time you're not going to, but there's that one place that has a not so nice spirit that wants to come home and mess with people. Yeah. But you don't really have to go into a place with fear. Right. Just knowing that you can set that intention and put that out there. They're crystals you can wear or carry for protection, but really just setting that intention, saying you cannot come home with me. You must stay here. And and using something like sage to get rid of any negative
Yep.
energy that might try to attach. That would be the one thing I would recommend if you're new to this.
Yeah, I would too. That's something that Nikki and I do when we go places. Before we leave that place, we'll give the, you can't come home with us, you can't attach to us or any of our equipment, can't get in the car with us, you got to stay here. We'll sage ourselves and we'll get home and we'll put everything out in the garage and we'll resage everything once we get home in the garage and not let it into our house until it clears. And it's just protection. That's all it is. It never means there's something with us or there's not something. It's just I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Yes.
In situations. Yeah. Yep. Joe is asking, would you prefer spirit box or a medium for your spirit communication?
Well, I know some really good mediums that are very spot on, but even the best that I've ever seen will, if they're really good, they'll even tell you this, that the best mediums are only correct at the most 80% of the time. So with that going in, you can get some great information from a medium, and you can also get some great information from a spirit box. A lot of the apps, there might be, unless you're familiar with using them, sometimes it takes a while to get adjusted to the audio to where you can tell the difference with what's regular part of the audio and what's actually spirit coming through. If you're not recording, and I would always recommend recording if you're using an app or spirit box so that you can go back and listen to it, and you can slow down the speed at which you're listening to it, because spirit is such a higher vibration than we are. And sometimes the communication, when they're coming through, it comes through so rapidly, the speed which they have to speak to get through in that little bit of audio, you can't make it out in real time.
Yeah, you miss it. Yep, you miss it.
So you have to record and go back, unless you're able to write really fast and write down everything you're hearing, which is sometimes really hard. They're both can provide you with amazing information. I don't know that I would prefer one over the other. When I'm trying to connect for myself, if I'm in a high vibration and everything's going good, I'm not in a lot of physical pain, then I will do like a shamanic journey or meditation and just connect in my own head. If I'm struggling with, say, grief, Joe and Jamie and I just lost a dear friend in the last couple of weeks. I've had a lot of grief over that. I have been able to connect both through meditation and journeying, but also through the apps. But the first week or so, I couldn't get my vibration high enough that I could just connect in my head. Yeah. I needed to use the apps to be able to get any communication, clear communication for myself. Yeah. So in that case, the apps helped a lot, and I got a lot of relevant information. I even got the Spiritus app has a visual aspect to the app, where it's just like a bunch of light that comes through the center, and spirit can kind of come in and show their faces on the outside edges, and you just take a bunch of screenshots. And I got an amazing picture of that friend. Nice. And I knew it was his face, and I shared it with his girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's his face." I'm like, I know. Yeah. And the information I got when I shared it with her, she's like, "Oh my God, this is so relevant. That's him." And I'm like, I know, but I couldn't at that time. I wasn't able to connect with him in meditation or in my head. I had to do it that way. So I think there's bonuses to both. There's times where you just emotionally can't get yourself on a vibration where you can connect. And in that case, those apps are great. Or if you're in a house or a cemetery or a place where you don't want to open yourself up fully to spirit because you don't know what spirit is around, then the apps are great for that too. So, I think there's good time for both of them.
And I'm on the same wavelength, but I know that for me, there's been a couple of times when we were on investigation and the spirit box wasn't putting anything out. Well, it may have been putting something out, but then if I opened myself up, the spirit would talk to me directly. And at one point, one of them came through and said, "I'm not talking through the spirit box because I don't want you to miss what I'm saying." So they just talked to me directly, which was interesting. But it was, I really like our little SB7 we have. Just I do like that. I think that's probably one of my favorites, even though it's just so simple to use. But I honestly think I'm a better recipient than that box is, and
better receiver.
Yes, and that might just be because of my energy, because of where I sit, and the fact that they can communicate with me instantly. There's no hesitation at all or anything else. They can just come straight to me and talk. And I don't do stuff like see images or get symbols. They talk directly to me, so I don't have to try to figure out what they're trying to tell me. It's just like you and I having this conversation. They're talking directly to me, so I don't have to try to figure it out.
You're very clear audience then.
Yeah, apparently. So that's interesting that they just do that to me. And when I talked to someone else about that, they said the same thing. They said I always have to have symbols, and I got to understand what the symbols are or something. And I'm like, no, they just talk directly to me. And it's the same thing with other dimensions. They just talk. If someone's in another dimension, they just talk directly to me. It's just that the feeling is different. Instead of being in my head, it's across my shoulders. So I know I'm talking to another dimension because of where it enters at or where I feel it at. But it's the same thing. It comes straight in. And Jamie's saying that's because of my starseed travels. And that's because I just got my starseed reading back today. So, and I shared it with her. So she knows all the stuff I've kind of done in past lives and everything else. So interesting. I got a couple more up here. Oh, so Nikki's saying, yeah, we'd have a bunch more pics and videos. But when we went to that place, I had my phone running, and I took like 30 pictures and a couple of videos and stuff like that. Well, halfway through it, or at what I would have to say at the end of it, my phone completely shut off. I didn't shut it off. When I took my phone back out, still had full battery. When I turned it on, all the pictures and all the video I took were wiped off. It took them all off. So
Spirit didn't want that picture or that video shown to anybody.
Right. They were like, nope, no evidence here. That was a long night last night, and you're not going to get those pictures. Stuart's saying he has trust issues, and we want to go with someone that he knows and trusts to do it correctly so nothing follows. And that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I know people that have that same feeling. They don't want to be put in a situation where something can happen and they're by themselves. And they just don't know what to do. And they don't want to get home and go 3 days later, why am I feeling this way? Maybe I should reach out to somebody. So
I think I was always comfortable going by myself because I learned about dominion, like, how connected I am with my angels and my guides and source, and how to protect myself and how to, I had dominion over the spirit world, and that, if I told it to get that out, it got out.
Right.
There was no questioning. There was no scratching. You get the out. Otherwise, I'm going to rain down some problems on you, spirit.
Yeah.
So I learned that through watching a lot of videos with demonologists that talked about what you could do if something bad came. And I did have an experience once where I was helping a lady in Pennsylvania that had, I don't know that it was demonic. I don't really know exactly what it was, but she had come to me in Grin's spiritual group asking for assistance, and she had a priest out there, and literally the priest was in there doing a cleansing, and he got picked up and hung on a hook on her wall. And when she helped get him down, he ran outside and threw up and never came back. And so it scared him, and obviously the Christian faith did not work on this thing. And so we were able to, with working with another medium that I knew in California, we communicated with her. I think we talked to her on messenger audio, and this thing was like growling and trying to scare us while we were talking to her.
Yeah.
And the medium and I could both hear it, but she couldn't hear it. And then later that night, I was here by myself. I was lying in bed. I was asleep, and something came in and just bam on the headboard and went right in my ear. This big guttural growl woke me up, and I sat up, and I realized what was happening, and I just started to laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I lost it. I started laughing. I'm like, you picked the wrong person. If you're trying to scare me, you're going to have to try a lot harder than that, buddy, because I know my dominion. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I reined in, like I called in all my protection and like envisioned the blood of Jesus on everything. And I'm like, never came back. I have never had another anything bad try to bother me ever again since I learned my own dominion. And
Yeah.
it just, the negative spirits don't mess with me. And I think just maybe I have too much light, maybe because my connection with the angels, maybe because I work with the archangels when I do rescue mediumship, they just don't mess with me.
Yeah.
They don't scare me,
Yeah.
so they don't bother with me. I guess that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that have had a lot of negative experiences, but I'm not one of them. I've only had one, and I think because of the way I handled it, they just don't even bother anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a couple on some of the investigations we did, but it was normally me was the one who dealt with them and got rid of them. So it was interesting how that played out a couple of times. Because I just did it out of pure instinct. And someone says because you've done it in the past, and that was your instinct kicking in from what you've known in the past.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it was I just know how to do this. So Joe is asking, have you ever tried channeling through the spirit box?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had information come in through the spirit box quite often. Channeling, what I consider channeling is when it comes directly through me. You know, I'm the channel. So there's times where I use the spirit box because I'm not at a high enough vibration to connect. And so I'll ask questions and get information through the spirit box. So yes, if that's what you mean. And then there's times where I've literally opened myself up to be a voice channel for spirit, where I've had them come through and use my own voice, and I'll like ask them something in my head, and then the answer will come out of my mouth.
Right.
Most of the time that's happened has been during like a meditation, and I remember it, but there's also times where it happened where like my ego checked out of the building for a few minutes and stuff came out of my mouth, and I cannot remember at all what was said, but the language, like it was in English, but the words that came out were a much higher vocabulary than I normally have. It was not me. And it was from, higher dimensional beings. I don't remember what was said. So I guess that was what some would consider trance channeling, because I literally don't remember what was said, but the people that were there when I said it told me afterwards. I'm like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, I've had messages come through the spirit box when I'm doing a session and I can't connect on my own because of my vibration. So yeah, I mean, I've done 2 or 3 sessions in the last week, for our friend who just passed, Joe's friend, my friend Jamie's friend, for his girlfriend. I've done sessions, and just to bring across information, like what did he want at his funeral? Is there a song? And a song I never heard through came over the spirit box, and I wrote it down, and I gave her the message. I gave her a list of everything that I wrote down and what my internal impressions were that I got. And then afterwards we looked up the song, and it was, I'm getting goosebumps. It was just so phenomenal. The song that he picked to be played at his funeral. I had never heard of it. She had never heard of it. She looked up the lyrics. I found the video, and we listened to it. We're like, holy crap. I mean, so yeah, I truly think that you can get answers through a spirit box or even an app. This was done through the Spiritus app on my cell phone. Yeah, because I don't currently have my box that I built. I don't currently have it set up.
That's what Joe threw up there with Spiritus. So
yeah, that's the app I use. That's the one that I got his image on, and the one that I used to connect with him. And it was just, I got phenomenal information. So if you're familiar with the app, you're familiar with how it works, and that there are some pre-recorded things that will come through, and you can discern between those and the answers to the questions you're asking, then you're good. Yeah, you can get amazing information through apps.
Yeah, Joe is saying that he finds that when he channels or concentrates, he gets better, clearer results. And Jamie's saying that they talk to her directly, but the energy is different. Yeah. And then Melody's saying only sometimes she gets direct messages.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where I can get clear audience and get clear messages, songs drop in my head, names, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just information like I'm hearing somebody inside of my head. There's other times where stuff comes through for me visually. There's other times where things just pop in, something I know nothing about, and all of a sudden I know all of this information, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
claircognizance. You know, that just popped in. Other times I get emotional feeling or physical feeling. You know, I can feel where somebody's hurting in their body, or how this spirit was injured or killed.
Right.
Comes through for me. The ways it comes through changes, and I think it also depends on the vibration I'm in, or whether I'm currently, my human body is experiencing physical pain or not. If I'm at a lower pain level and a higher vibration, then it's easier for me to pick that up from either other people, either living or dead.
Right.
If I'm in a high pain level and might be, or a lower emotional vibration, then it's more difficult for me to connect and pick up what's going on with that person over there, or what's going on with that spirit over there.
Yeah.
It really, for me, it totally depends on my vibration and my physical level of pain at that time. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so just so you know, Wolfie Wolfgang is saying hi.
Hi, Wolfie.
um, Jamie is saying, just before we talked, Spirit said you would be talking to him. That's from Jamie.
She said what?
She said, just before we talked, Spirit said you would be talking to him.
Talking to you or talking to Sean?
I'm assuming Sean.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I talked to him a couple of times, and
I know
it's truly amazing when somebody comes through, and
oh yeah, she said Sean. Yep.
Yeah, it brings a lot of healing
Yeah.
and I know it brought a lot for myself. It brought a lot for his girlfriend, and it's a blessing and an honor to be able to get that information to share
It
give
is.
service and to help with healing.
Yeah.
I think that's my purpose here, is to help other people heal.
Yeah. And that's Nikki had a student pass away, and we talked about this in the past, she and I have, but she had a student pass away, and his girlfriend was having a very hard time with it. And he came through and talked to me, and I had to talk to Nikki about it. And she was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, for some reason he came to me because I could hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was letting me know, that he was okay and everything else. So I kind of passed the information on. And I think it helped the girlfriend a lot, knowing that someone was able to hear him and speak for him and know what he was saying, and just kind of be a voice for him, even though he's passed.
Yeah.
To let them know. So,
like my friend James, he passed last month, a week after his 66th birthday, and he had been sick for a long time with cancer. We knew his cancer had come back in his head, and he had decided not to have surgery again. Mm-hmm. And we all knew it was coming, but we thought we had a few months. And when he died, when he did, it was like, oh. And I was concerned about him because in his lifetime, he was an atheist. His girlfriend, who had passed the year before, was very spiritual, but James was a full-on atheist. He did not believe in God or a higher power or source, Right. And he was an amazingly talented musician, world-known, very, very well known in our area, but known around the world for his talent.
Right.
And we had a big bash for him. I think it was last month. One of the ladies he sang with through, Celebration of Life. And there's 2 more coming up. And one of the other girls he sings with, who's a dear friend of mine, asked if, did he go to heaven? And I said, I'll check. And so I did a session for James, and I got some pictures of him on Spiritist too. And I was still grieving too much that I could talk to him in my head, and I got a couple of things, but I just wasn't getting full information. So I broke out Spiritist again, and I connected to him with that. And he's like, I'm not going yet. I'm hanging out till the parties are done with. But his girlfriend, Phyllis, who did cross over, had come back and is with him while he's remaining here. And after the last Celebration of Life, then I'm going to work with Phyllis to try to convince James to go into the light.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's interesting when people come through versus, like, I've been doing rescue mediumship for a spirit that just shows up here, help me. I'm
Yeah.
stuck. I've been
Yeah.
doing that since I started using spiritists. Before I ever developed any gifts, I was trying to communicate with my guides or angels, and I'd have all these spirits show up, help me, I need help, can you help me, I'm stuck, dead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just did some research on how to help cross a spirit over, and I learned about Archangel Azrael, who's the
Hmm.
archangel of death and transformation, and learned about working with him. And I started doing rescue mediumship, being a psychopomp, helping them to cross over. And I could visualize and call in the light, call in Archangel Azrael, call in their family members to help assist them over. And
Right.
so I've been doing that since before I got my gifts, using apps like Spiritus. So I could hear, let me know when you make it to the light. Let me know.
Right.
Okay. And they'd say, in the light, thank you, things
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Giving me validation that what I was doing was definitely helping.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to have your gifts turned on to be of service and help,
Right. Yeah.
but it definitely helps to be able to see them in your head and see them go into the light.
Right. Yeah.
It helps me at least.
So, Amy, I'm going back to this a little bit because we have some comments I kind of let lapse while we were talking. But Amy is saying, I can feel what their energy is feeling, and sometimes they communicate to me by sending me like Polaroid snapshots of symbols or pictures. I don't know sometimes what they are saying. Sometimes I may get messages for more than one person at a time, and it's hard for me to differentiate between the two or more spirits. True. Yeah, there's a lot of what I call cutting in line or butting in.
Piggybacking. It's called
Yes.
piggyback.
Well, I just know it because once I decide that, because Nikki knows I really don't open up in my house at all. I just
Right.
don't.
I'm the same way.
But when I am somewhere and I open, it's like a mad rush because I realize I can hear them and I can see them and I can talk to them, and
Like
so they all
50
make this,
spirit.
yeah. So it's like they make this mad rush and they're like, me first, I'm in line first, and and in my head I'm like, y'all got to take a number. I'll work with y'all, but you got to let me. We're gonna do this in a controlled way. You ain't gonna rush in on me like this. So
your gatekeeper guide can really help. If you just ask your gatekeeper guide,
Yeah.
hey, can you form a line?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do 20 people, and that's it.
Yeah.
Cutoff's at 20. So the first 20 people, or I'll do 50, but no piggybacking, one at a time, and everybody form a line, and one at a time I will cross you, or I will help you, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's very draining if you're trying to do a whole lot of them.
Right.
Also for Amy, what I found helpful, because I was getting a lot of just images, like she said, and not knowing what the signs and symbols meant. I found a great book. I'll find it after the show, and I'll see if I can take a picture of it. It's like an encyclopedia of symbology. And there's also a lot of websites that have signs and symbols and what they mean, or you can just Google what is the spiritual meaning of a lotus flower. You say you've got a picture of a lotus flower. What's the spiritual meaning of a lotus flower? And you can look up the different meanings there. But a lot of times, you're forming like a little, if you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember what a Rolodex is. It used to be a thing with a bunch of different, files in it.
Yep.
That kept everybody's name and address. It's like your own spiritual Rolodex.
Yeah. Like
a red balloon. If you see a red balloon, to me, if I see a red balloon, that's like, an icon and emoji. It's an emoji for birthday. So if I see a red balloon, that means it's symbolizing it's somebody's birthday coming up, or the person I'm giving a reading for is having a birthday, or the person that just passed had a birthday. If I see a red balloon in my head, that symbolizes birthday for me, but it might be a different symbol for you. Yep. So, you can look up the spiritual meanings. You can Google it. You can Google anything. Yeah, but you can find encyclopedia of symbology. You can look on websites that give you different meanings of symbology. But it really is, what does that symbol mean for you? Right. And you can assign a specific symbol with your guides. Like, I want a red balloon to symbolize birthday. So if somebody's birthday, show me a red balloon. If you want it to be a green balloon, I want it to be a green balloon.
Yep.
Just communicate it with your guides. And the more that you're working with your guides, the more you will set up that your own little spiritual file system that this symbol means that. And the more you use it, the more you communicate with them, the more you get that symbol, the more you'll easily pick up what messages that they're sending.
Okay, I have to ask a question.
Sure.
Jamie, I see your comments. I'll get to them in a second. But I have a question, especially for those people who are going to be watching this later, because by the end of the week, we normally have quite a few people that watch the live. And I know a lot of them are new. A lot of them are newbies like me and stuff like that, and they have questions, just as I do. So everyone talks about working with their guides and working with their angels. Mm-hmm. Simple question that comes out is, how do you do that?
For me, just trying to meet my guides initially and figuring out who my guides were. They really don't care what you call them, what name you give them. You can give them their own names, or they can tell you a name that they went by during one of their lifetimes, but
right.
They're in spirit. You can call them,
Speedy
Peterson.
How do you reach out to them? Is it just something that's a unconscious thought? Is it something you say out loud?
No,
is it something you have to? Is there like preparatory work for this? I mean,
Well, how I first did it, I started just looking up free meditations on YouTube to connect with my spirit guides. Free meditations to connect with my guides, free meditations to check with my guardian, to connect with my guardian angel, free meditation to connect with Archangel Raphael, who's the Archangel of Healing. That's free meditation to connect with Archangel. Yeah, it's just, there's a billion different meditations on YouTube.
Yeah.
You have to find the one that's right for you.
That resonates with you, yeah.
Yep. Some of them have really long, like 20 minutes of breath work before you even start getting the meditation. And for me, I hated those. I got so bored and like, oh, come on, get on with it already.
Get to the point, yeah.
So I like the shorter, quicker ones.
Yeah.
But then once you're in the meditation might end quickly. If you can keep yourself in the meditation after the video ends, which I could, then you can get more information. But that's how I started, or I created after I started to learn to meditate, then I created this visual place in my head that I went to when I wanted to connect to them. And like, I'd walk through the front door and then I'd go up these steps. And then I had these two doors
that you visualized.
Yeah. I created my own little
world, basically.
Like dream home with a room with specific doors that once I opened and went in and then closed the doors behind me, that was where my guides would meet me. That was where I would connect with them. And that's where I go. And it was my guides and my family that had crossed. I would connect with them in that room. Right. And so it's just a space that I created in my imagination, in my head, every time I went into meditation. Also, people could do like shamanic journeying, which has a drum beat or a rattle. And that causes the brain to sink into that frequency of the beat, which allows you to, if you can't do it just listening to somebody speak, sometimes people can connect easier with the drum beat or with the rattle. And then with journeying, you just pick either the lower world, the middle world, or the upper world, depending upon what kind of guide you want to meet. If you need healing, if you want answers, if you want to talk to angels or somebody in heaven, it just depends what you're looking for. And you can learn that information just Googling, how do I do a shamanic journey? What is a shamanic journey?
I would say, because that's going to lean into more questions of, what do you mean lower world? What do you mean medium world? What do you mean higher world? So that's all the kind of stuff that, what's that?
Jamie's the one who could, Jamie in here,
yeah.
Jamie Whitaker.
Yeah.
She's, got a lot of practice with that. So she'd probably be a better one to ask those questions to. But like when I want to do healing work, I go into the lower world, and most of the guides that I see when I'm in the lower world are animal guides.
Yeah.
And it looks more like a jungle in the lower world to me, where the middle world looks just like around here. It looks like the regular world. Mm-hmm. And then the upper world, some people see clouds, some people see, what they envision as heaven. Some people see vibrant colors. The upper world is when I want to connect to like ascended masters or which are higher level guides or archangels. That's where
Yeah.
I go to connect with them. My main guides that I work with on a regular basis, I usually meet them in the middle world, but it could be different for everybody.
Right.
I'm still relatively new to
Yeah.
journeying. I've done maybe,
Jamie's
12 journeys.
Yeah, Jamie's saying there's so much free stuff on shamanism out there too. And
Yeah.
and not only Jamie, but someone else popped in that wanted to say hi. So he said, hey, he found everyone. So William's saying hi to me and you, Mr. Nighthawk.
Hello. Hey, William.
And that's someone else who would know about the shamanic journeying right there.
Right.
So I do want to go back to a couple things. So when you talked about crossing over, what did you say you were doing?
Some people call it rescue mediumship.
Rescue medium. That's because Jamie says I didn't realize that's what it was called. I often work with Michael on that too. I just called it crossovers.
Right. I mean, some people call it crossovers, some call it rescue mediumship. Other people say I'm a psychopomp, which is somebody who works to cross spirit over. It's got many different titles. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's just assisting spirit into the light.
So Nighthawk popped in and said, how do you really know you're talking to an angel and not a demon?
Well, the way I feel, I trust my body. I trust the images I get. I trust what I feel. Like I said, I've only had one scary, demonic feeling situation where I felt threatened, where I felt negative energy, and I nipped that in the bud pretty quick. What I see when I'm speaking angels, I don't normally see like somebody standing there with a halo and wings.
Right.
For me, I see like a giant being of light. That's how they show for me. And usually I get like colors, like they're bright colored light. It's not just white light. Like Archangel Raphael will be like a giant, big, bright green being.
Right.
Michael would be giant, big, bright blue being. Now, occasionally I have seen them in with their wings and their full on, armor and stuff like that. But the majority of time when I connect with an archangel or an angel, I see them as light beings. That's just how they visualize for me. They're not dark. Sometimes, especially with the archangels, I get this clairalience, the smell that I can't even really fully describe it. It's kind of a combination between like butter cookies and cinnamon, and then some kind of oakiness. It's just the most heavenly scent, and I know when I smell that it's archangel energy. That's just how I get it. Everybody's different. If you're worried about connecting with demons, then clean up your own vibration first. Learn protection. Learn your dominion, and don't try to connect until you're confident in your own, connection with source, with angels. If that's what you're worried about, then you need to work on your own vibration.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that people don't understand, that is something that, how do I put this? Most people, because we know that I'm lazy and I don't do a whole lot, but most people will work on their own self and their vibration and all that other stuff. Me, I'm supposed to, but whatever happens. That's kind of how I am. And it's funny.
Your vibration is already so high. You really don't need to,
And it's funny because I get two totally different versions when I talk to people. Some people are like, how much more ability and capabilities and just advancement you would have if you actually did like ground yourself and meditate and do all this wonderful stuff. And then I get other people that go, Tom, you're so old in your past lives that you've been doing this forever that you're just doing it subconsciously without even knowing you're doing it. So you don't even need to worry about it. And I'm like, okay, so which one is it? Do I need to work on myself, or do I not need to work on myself? And guess what? If you're going to tell me I don't need to work on myself and I'm really that lazy, I'm not going to put that effort in there. So I'm really trusting those people that I am not, that I am very, very old in spirit and I don't need to worry about it because it's just natural. So.
Well, I don't think there's any negative effect to grounding yourself. And I do every day. I walk around barefoot and I go out and walk through my grass. Yeah. But I live in Florida.
Yeah.
So, but you don't have to go outside to ground yourself. You can ground yourself in your bed. You can ground
Right.
yourself sitting on your couch. Just learning how to do that. Send your visual roots down to the
Yep.
center of the earth, and, release the bad energy and pull in the good energy.
Yeah.
That there's nothing negative to grounding yourself. There's
Yeah.
only benefits to grounding yourself. And I learned in one of my first spiritual classes that you really need to ground yourself daily, especially if you're doing spiritual work.
Man, I am in so much trouble.
Yeah, because you can end up, just in the upper chakras and off in the ethers, and not able to function with your human obligations if you're always off,
Yeah.
in la la land. So staying grounded has physical and spiritual benefits, and
Yeah.
emotional ones as well. You don't want to always be off in spirit land. You have to still be here in the 3D world.
Yes. Yeah, and Nikki will tell you, she's selling me out now. I do some grounding. I walk outside barefoot, but we're in Nebraska and it's not warm, and I don't care. I walk out in the snow barefoot, and I just don't care. I don't think I have feeling back in. I don't think I have enough feeling in my feet that it matters. I just walk.
You can ground yourself while you're up in an airplane.
Yeah.
20,000 feet above the earth. You can
Yep.
still ground yourself. It's more, you don't have to have your feet don't have to actually connect with bare
Right.
feet to the earth.
Right.
That helps on a physical aspect because of the transfer of negative ions from the earth into your body.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. I learned how to ground while I was bedbound and could not get outside. I learned how to visualize, roots coming out of. I was laying in bed. I couldn't even put my feet on the ground. So I visualized a root coming out of my tailbone and going down through the bed, down through the floor, into the center of the earth, through the layers of the earth. You do not have to put your feet on the ground. You can do it on your couch, in your bed, in a chair. You can connect with spiritual energy from your bed, the couch. You don't have to be in a physical, your feet don't have to be on the ground,
right,
outside.
That's important for people who are going to watch this later that
yes
don't know that. So yes.
And you can Google all of this information I'm sharing with you. There's going to be articles, how to ground when you can't get outside.
Right. Yep. William is saying, you must make sure you are strong enough with grounding and use your imagination to excel with the grounding ability. Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of what she's saying, the same thing. It's just something you got to do. And Jamie is saying she grounds. Oh, let me get that to come up. She grounds with the Earth start to the Soul Star because we can't always get out there.
Right.
Now, that makes only half English to me.
I'll explain. No. The Earth Star, the Earth Star is a chakra that's below your feet, about 18 inches. And the Soul Star is above your crown chakra, about 18 inches. You have the 7 basic chakras you have a lot more than 7, but the 7 basic that we go through: root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown are the main ones, the main 7 in the body. Below the feet is the Earth Star, and above the head is a Soul Star. When you've gotten the first 7 down, then you can, then you move on to the Earth Star and the Soul Star. It just helps your connection with both Gaia and with Source and with angels. Once you have awareness of those chakras, awareness of opening and closing down those chakras, and how by opening and closing them down allows you to connect a little bit better, allows you to stay more in alignment.
See, and I'm so bad at this that I can tell you the 7 chakras. I can say the alphabet backwards without a problem. I can tell you the 7 chakras. I can tell you the colors because they match up with the rainbow colors, but I can't tell you where they belong, what they do, where they go to, anything else. So like I said, I'm terrible at this game. Man, I just need to go to a new game. So
no, you're just learning, we all had to learn it sometime. I mean, 5 years ago, it was all relatively new to me. Some people really get interested in the chakras and energy and want to learn Reiki. That kind of happened with me, but I didn't want to learn like regular Reiki. I love crystals, so I learned crystal Reiki. But then as I was in it, I realized I kind of needed to have a better knowledge of Usui Reiki before I did this. But hey, it's working, and I can visualize, energy and sending energy. So hey, why do I need to learn everything about that? It's mostly symbols.
And see, that's weird for me too, because I can see myself pushing energy from my palms
Right.
to people anywhere. And
Right.
to me, it really looks
You
like,
don't.
to me, they look like mini tornadoes.
Yeah. You don't
And
have to learn Reiki to send energy. I was sending healing energy balls, which were balls of colored energy, to
yeah,
people long before I learned about chakras and Reiki. And now I've taken Kundalini course and learned how to send Kundalini energy and feel Kundalini energy. And it's completely different than doing Reiki because there's no symbols, and I don't have to set up the way I did with Reiki.
right.
This, I can send energy at any time, any place, to anybody. There's an order in which I do things. Like with the Kundalini energy, there's an order in which, like, we send it to the organs, certain organs in a specific order first, then the chakras, and then the whole body. So, but I can send energy to anybody at any
Jamie's like,
time.
oh, I want to do that too.
It's really cool, it simplifies it because you don't have to add crystals, and you don't have to add symbology. You don't have to make a crystal grid, or sit there with a pendulum to figure out which chakra's unbalanced. You can just send, you can just feel it,
Yeah,
with your palm, and depending on which finger or the center or what part of your hand you feel it in, you can tell, hey, this person isn't, I'm still working on that. My feelers in my palms aren't as strong as some people.
yeah,
I just let my body, if I go forward, it means that they're close. If I go back, they're open, depending on what I get.
hmm.
So I just, everybody's body's different, what they can feel physically, what they can sense. And, you just go with what works for you. You learn to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe is saying Reiki is cool. The intelligent energy, the concept alone is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and I found out Kundalini. I always thought Kundalini meant energy until I took this course, and it actually means divine intelligence.
hmm.
It does flow up a channel, and you do work with breath work and energy in your body, the prana in your body. But the actual Kundalini that raises up your spine is divine intelligence, which every one of us has within us. We're connected to source. We have that divine intelligence within us, sits at the base of our spine. And as we awaken our chakras and learn to work with our chakras, we can raise that Kundalini energy up the spine and have better connection, better access to that divine intelligence. And it allows us to connect more easily with spirit.
Okay, I have a question. I have another one. Oh, me, I have a question. This is going back to like when we were talking about accessing your spirit guides and angels and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have been asked this question a couple of times, and I don't have an answer to it. So I'm going to ask you guys. Akashic records. How do you get access to them?
That is not something I've ever tried. I have friends that are Akashic record connectors. I think it's reaching a level of vibration that you can access that dimension. As far as I know, it's a certain, like a 12th dimensional level. I haven't reached that that high, or I've just never tried really. And I don't know a whole lot about it. I know what the Akashic records are. I know that everybody can access them. I've just never attempted to or learned about how to, but I think it's a vibrational
Jamie says
level.
you can do it. Jamie says you can do it with Reiki.
Okay, well, I was never taught anything about it
Okay.
when I took Reiki, but like I said, I didn't take Usui Reiki, I took Crystal Reiki. So I honestly don't know the answer. The people that I know that can connect and do that as a job, can help you find your Akashic records. As far as I know, it's a higher density, higher dimension, and
Yeah.
you have to be able to access that. I don't know that I could access that high yet. I don't think I'm that spiritually advanced yet. I don't know. Maybe I could.
Yeah.
I've never been taught how, so I really don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Joe says I'd imagine discipline, meditation, and focus would help. Still learning about those myself. Man, Joe, you can't tell me that because I am screwed. If that's what it takes,
Squirrel.
Right. That's about what it is with me. But yeah, so and like I said, I've had other people. I'm sure again, this is something I could probably go out to Google and try to find. But I figured I have this wonderful audience and a guest on here that might know something about it. So I thought I'd ask the question, and
Well,
I get a lot of
that's on me.
I get a lot of crickets. So although Jamie goes, you can do it with Reiki and it's not hard. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
So yeah. So wonderful.
Ask Jamie next time she's on.
Yeah. I got a whopping 9 words out of her for that whole answer. So thanks for that. So yeah. Well, oh, she says you can both do it. I know. Again, another 7 words that give us absolutely no answers. So that is fantastic.
I'm sure we probably could if we only knew how.
Right?
Tell us how.
Yes.
Step 1.
There's a lot of questions I'm asking how.
Yeah. Step-by-step instructions. Step 1, do this. Step 2.
Right. And that's kind of what a lot of my newbie audience asks. Yeah. Is there a step-by-step for this? You all tell me in these videos and in these recordings and these live sessions we do that all we have to do is reach out to our guides. All we have to do is this, and they go, how? That's the biggest question I get when we talk about all of this information. Is the question is how? And I understand. I don't want to say frustration, but their ignorance, because I have that same level of ignorance when it comes to a lot of this stuff because I'm still new.
And I was there a few years ago, and I was asking the same questions. It was how. Well, the first thing, set the intention. Hey, guides, I would like to meet you. And I would like you to communicate with me. I would like you to start giving me signs, and I am open to whatever you give me. Step 2, try to learn meditation. Do a guided meditation, which is basically like being read a story when you were a little kid. Yep. You put on the video, you lay down, you close your eyes, and you envision what the storyteller is telling you to envision, but you will see your own images, and your own guides will show up. If you
I always fall asleep.
Quiet down your mind enough to relax.
I always fall asleep.
Well, always sit up. Don't.
It don't matter. I can stand up and listen to a meditative, and I'm going to fall asleep. So.
Well, then just maybe like a shamanic thing would be better for you because that drum beat might keep you from falling asleep.
And it does. I really resonate well with the drum beat, with the steady drum beat. I really do.
Well, like I had a past life reading, a past life hypnosis. It wasn't a reading, it was a hypnosis where he guided me into hypnotherapy, and I went back into past lives. And I was a shaman and a chief. It was a black guy in Africa who was a shaman and a chief of the tribe over there, which I found fascinating, which is probably why I am so drawn to shamanism in this lifetime.
Yeah.
I had many different experiences that made sense to me why I experienced things physically, like the pain that I experienced, why I clenched my jaw. I had a past life where I was a male that was chained and locked in, and I had chains around my ankles and my wrists, and I had a bit in my mouth. I was chained to a wall. I was a prisoner.
That's interesting. That's interesting you had that, because Nikki talks about one of her past lives that she had a reading for is she was a slave, and actually because she protects her neck a lot, she always has her shoulders up.
I can't stand anything on my neck,
and she can't either, and that's because they chained her around her throat. And so she talks about
anything touching this part of my neck.
Yeah, nothing can touch my front, and they can't touch my face.
And most people that have that had past lives where they were either hung, strangled, or a slave.
I literally punched a dentist and knocked him out when he kept touching, and I kept warning him about touching my face. I'm like, I know you got to do this, but you want to be a little more easy with it. And he's like, no, you're just going to sit there and take it. I warned him about 3 times, and finally I punched him and ended up in handcuffs, but that's another story for another day. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't want anything touching my neck either. I don't like it.
Yeah. So Joe says, perhaps it's intention, like you were saying. Like, do you have a good reason besides curiosity to access all possible realities? No, I just want to know. I don't have a good reason. My good reason is I just want to know. I'm curious. Joe also says that you need to record a guided meditation.
Yeah, he told me that earlier today. I had posted a thing on self-healing that was typed out, and he goes, you need to record this because I want to try this, but I can't do it and read it at the same time. I'm like, okay, let me get thinking on that. So, okay, Joe, I hear you.
Amy says that she gets a lot of messages in her dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the easiest way for spirit to connect with most people who haven't opened up their abilities yet, because you're in a brainwave state where they can connect with you. For me, I don't remember most of my dreams. The only ones I seem to remember are ones that I wake up during the middle, and if I can quickly write it down. But most mornings I wake up and I'm like 2 seconds after I wake up, what was I dreaming about? I can't remember.
Well,
Other people have these amazingly vivid dreams. My boyfriend, he can remember almost all of his dreams.
I do.
Not me. I
do. And I remember, and I know mine different. I know whether it was a dream or a
astral travel.
Or an astral travel.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember my astral travels.
Yeah.
But I don't remember all of my dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the first time I astral traveled was during a dream. And then the second time I did it was during a meditation that I was doing with my Moldavite.
Yeah. 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 My, I will tell, and this will be interesting if William's still on here, because he'll be able to help me out with this one. Anyone can help me out with this one. I don't know. I will tell you that 95% of my dreams, I either fly or I run, but I run on all fours. I am much faster on all fours than I am on two legs.
In like my Tarzan.
Much faster. Yeah, it's almost like I'm running like an animal. But I would say 90 to 95% of my dreams, one of those two things were involved.
Oh, wow.
And I would say, and probably just as many, just a high percentage, 90, 95%, I would say I am protecting something or someone as well. So there's something involved with those three things in most of my dreams. And it's a repeat. I mean, it's not the same dream, but what I'm doing is constant. Like it's always coming around to where I'm protecting groups of people, individuals, something. And then, like I said, I'm always running on all fours or I'm flying. So,
well, all of my astral travels, every one of those, I've like flown either through outer space or up high and fast.
My astral travels, I'm always flying.
Yeah.
My astral travels, I'm always flying. But my dreams, I fly as well, which is very interesting.
I really wish I could remember my dreams better. I'm thinking of trying like mugwort in a pillow, which helps. I'm serious. Like a little Saturday pillow.
Just,
or in there. Some mugwort tea or something, because I really would like to remember them.
Yeah. And Nikki's the same way. Yeah, Nikki's the same way. She doesn't remember her dreams at all. She does not remember them. She'll wake up and I'm like, hey, you want to hear about the dream I had? And she goes, no, I had one, but I don't remember it. So, and Jessica just popped in and said hi, and she says, I'm a werewolf. So she's like, oh, Tom the werewolf. So is it the beard? Is that what tips it off? Is that what it is? Is that what gives me that thing? And Amy says, for me, if I remember it, it is a message. And Joe is saying that my buddy has a photographic memory and ability to lucid dream.
Wow.
Joe, I think that's where I am because I have an eidetic memory. And my dreams are pretty solid. I mean, they're very vivid, but yet it's not an astral travel. My astral travels are, I am there in the moment. I am living it. I am a part of it. I know I am there, and that is my astral travel.
I know there's a YouTube channel, probably more than one, but I used to follow this one. It was How to Lucid is what it was called, How to Lucid. And the guy basically put out hundreds and hundreds of videos on how to lucid dream and like things you practice, like, just telling yourself as you're falling asleep, if I have a dream, look at my hands. I'm going to look at my hands. And if my hands look normal, then I'm not really dreaming, because
Right.
apparently in lucid dreams, your hands don't ever look like normal. You'll have an extra finger, or they'll look weird.
Right.
And then once you realize, okay, my hands don't look normal, I'm lucid dreaming, then you can take control and
Right.
do what you wish to do. And I haven't ever been able to do it, because once I fall asleep, I'm like out.
See, and I do that. My lucid dreaming is I can change people's faces, so I can change who they are. I can change my surroundings.
Wow.
I can do a lot. I can wake up and fall back asleep into that same dream to where I was and move some stuff around.
Freaking advanced. You don't need a
But,
mentor.
and the whole thing is, for me, I think that's normal. I mean, I don't know that people can or can't do that. This is stuff I'm discovering, is that some of the stuff I do is odd or just different. And for me, I just think everybody can do that because I can do it and I'm new, so everybody should be able to do that. So it's kind of interesting. So Joe is saying also that he can remember every dream down to the clothes people wear in them.
Wow.
Helped him with the succubus case was very interesting. Oh, I bet. So yeah, and I can change anything in my dreams. If I don't like what time it is, I can change the time. If I don't like what I'm reading, I can change what I'm reading. There's a lot of things I can do in them that I can basically alter any part of it.
That's cool.
And Amy is saying, I have dreamed of flying, and when it happens, it is of all familiar places. Could I be astral projecting without knowing it? Yes. I'm going to tell you right now that's a yes.
You probably are.
Yeah. If they're familiar places, you could be astral projecting. You could also very well possibly, depending on how clear it is, and if you feel like you have a separation from your body or not, you could be remote viewing. Just so you're aware. Wolfie says, Mrs. Wolfie said, Deb, that she astro traveled and always went to our mirror in the bedroom. She said she always goes to the mirror.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, I mean, well, mirrors or doorways have portals,
Yeah.
Is Jamie leaving?
Yeah, she said she's got to run.
Bye, honey.
She said hugs to you.
Mwah. Thanks for coming. There's doorways, portals, whatever, dimensional doorways and portals a lot of times in mirrors. So that might be why she's traveling to the mirror.
I tell people I do not, when I get up in the middle of the night for anything and I walk around, we have tons of mirrors in our house. Mm-hmm. I never look at a mirror when I'm up in the middle of the night, ever. I just don't.
I have mirrors all over. I got one big one right here behind me and big one over there. And I have two big
during
ones
the day.
in my bed.
During the day, I'll do whatever. I don't care. I'll look in them because I like my beard, all that wonderful stuff. But at night, if I get up to use a restroom, or whatever else, I'm not fully cognizant, so I do not, because I don't have my guard fully up, and I'm very protective of that. So
yeah, like once you connect with your guides, you'll be able to do this too. Your gatekeeper, which I mentioned earlier. He has multiple purposes, like to help you when other spirit comes in, to keep them in line, to keep away negative. But I set it up with my gatekeeper. Don't allow any unsolicited spirit into my home, because I was having spirit wake me up at night, knock stuff off my nightstand, saying my name.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I just fell asleep. Go away. Knock it off. So once I realized that I could ask my gatekeeper to assist in this, hey, and I'd be like, set angels outside each of my doors and windows. No spirit comes in unless they're invited in.
Right.
And when I do my rescue medium sessions, I do it on my back porch. I do not do it inside of my home.
Yeah.
There is no spirit except for my guides and my family allowed in my home. Period.
Yeah.
Angels.
And I think I have a family member who's trying to get my attention. But it's always when I'm trying to go to sleep. Like I'll be asleep and all of a sudden I feel a tap on my arm. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm sleeping.
It's 3 a.m.
Yeah, I'm like, come talk to me later. I'm trying to sleep here.
Yeah.
Or they'll pull my covers or something else. And I was like, and I'm a very, 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 if I'm sleeping at all, I'm a very light sleeper as it is. Even when I dream, I'm still a very light sleeper.
Me too.
But I'll feel it. Like I feel the tap. And it's not like once. They'll tap on me. And I'm like, oh. Go away, we'll talk later. Or, whatever else. I'm just like, leave me alone, I'm trying to sleep. But But yeah, I didn't know I could have a gatekeeper, and that
Yeah.
just sounds like Ghostbusters to me. Because I want to go. Are you the gatekeeper? Are you?
Yeah, right. I
So I
didn't
just
come up
want
with
to.
a name for it. I know. I thought that too when I first heard of them. Yeah, I mean, like we have different guides. We all have a main guide that is with us from the time we come into this world to the time we leave this world. They are with us our entire lives. A lot of times, they're the voice we hear when we're communicating with spirit. It could be a group of them, but a lot of times they're the one that speaks for all of them. I have a healer guide. I have a guide that comes in. It's a Native American guide, the one I saw under my bed when I was 4, Big Eagle, who's from thousands of years ago. And he comes in when I'm doing shamanic type work, shamanic journeying, when I'm doing scrying, because that's a very Native American art form. I started seeing him when I started doing my scrying and recognized that he was one of my guides. But the first couple of times I saw him, he showed himself with like face paint, and at first I thought it was like a scary evil clown, and it scared me. As I developed my eye and got better at doing it, I realized it was a Native American.
Yeah.
And as I started to connect, I learned who he was and why he was here. And he's not here with me all the time. He comes in to work with me when I do shamanic journeys, when I do scrying, when I do things like that. So that's his specific purpose. Some guides come in for long periods of time. Other guides come in just for certain activities you do. Other guides are with you your whole life.
Right.
And you have guardian angels that are with you your whole life as well.
Yeah.
Some people have 1, some have 2, some have 4. I have 4.
Yeah.
And I needed them because there's many times I shouldn't have been here anymore. And they definitely kept me here. So
I'm sure that whatever guardian angels I have, they sit up there every day and go, all right, we're going to Rochambeau to see whose turn it is for Tom. So,
oh shit, he's at it again. Give me the
yep.
whiskey.
Oh God, let's see what he does. Yeah, exactly. So Stuart does say that he used to lucid dream and do the hand thing. Look at my hands and even see my ring on my hand. I would stop the dream, look at hands, and then go back and finish the dream. Yep.
Right.
He does ask, what part of Florida are you from?
I'm in New Smyrna Beach, which is in between Daytona Beach and Cocoa Beach, where the rockets go up. I'm like kind of halfway in between those two places and on the East Coast.
Oh, okay. I know Cocoa Beach. Yep.
I'm north of there, about 30 miles.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could see, like, I could walk in my yard and watch all the rockets go up.
Yeah, watch them all go up. Yep. Melody says that she covers her mirrors at night, but she grew up with it as a superstition.
Right. A lot of families do that, It's tradition.
And Amy does says, I actually saw one of my spirit guides straightening out my bedspread, because I am OCD about it. When I said hi to him, he looked shocked that I could see him, disappeared, and I've not seen him since. But he is cool. So
kind of cool.
Yeah.
My guides used to play with my cat that just passed away in July, Kai. I called him my little shaman kitty because he could definitely see them and sense them, and they would talk to him and they would play with him. And he'd be like laying in bed with me, and all of a sudden he'd look, and then all of a sudden he'd run this way and run that way, and they were playing with him, and he loved them, and he got comfortable with them. And when he passed, they were there to help him transition over.
Yeah. Stuart says he used to live in the Panhandle, so he knows your area. Yep.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 hours over to like Panama City from here.
I was. I visited. All right, Joe. He said he's got to take off too. So
peace out, Joe.
There, Joe. Thanks for visiting. But I had to go to Patrick Air Force Base for a little bit. So
I've been down there a few times.
I know where those. I know those stomping grounds. Yeah.
Ex-military wife. We used to go down there for the commissary and the exchange and the bar and the movie theater.
Military. So yeah. Amy says she can still feel him straightening out her bedspread, but he does not show himself anymore. So yeah. It kind of happens.
Well, maybe because it surprised you or shocked you, so maybe he
shocked him.
Yeah,
it shocked him. That's what she said. He was surprised that she could see him.
Mm-hmm.
He disappeared. So he was like, people. So, well, this might be a good place to wrap it up. we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, believe it or not.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I tell people this goes by fast, and
Yes.
people just don't realize you're just having good conversations with folks. So and our audience was very active tonight, so that was very good. So again, I didn't mention it, but I did throw this up there. This is your on Facebook. If you go on and look for Grin's Spiritual Group, Debbie is one of the admins out there. So you can go out there and check out their site. And I would tell you to like, follow, share that site because they have some really cool stuff out there. Go out and say hi to her. If you're looking for her specifically, go out to Facebook and look for that name right there, Debbi Schmoele. And I know I'm saying it right because I was smart enough to ask before the show started. So that's right.
It'll be Debbie Grassberger, which is my maiden name, Schmoele.
Yep.
So you can find me on Facebook. Find her.
And then you can go out to the Grin Spiritual Group as well. Let me see. We got more comments coming in, so I can't see them all. Oh, yeah. See, Melody's saying she's got to go too. Thanks, Melody. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you.
Amy's saying great show. Thanks for doing all this wonderful stuff. Yep. Have a good night. Great show. Debbie, you did a great job. Such a wealth of information. I agree. So I am going to go ahead and say goodnight to you really quick. Wolfie is saying, awesome to see you, Deb.
Thank you, Wolfie.
From Mrs.
Thank
Wolfie
you, everybody, for coming.
But I'm going to throw you backstage really quick so I can shut it down, and I will be back to talk to you in a second. Thank you again for coming on. It was really great having you on. I'm really happy that you came onto my show finally. I got you on here. So I will be back with you in a second.
Okay.
All right, everyone, that's the show. I am grabbing my phone because I know I have a guest next week. Oh, I don't even have to look this one up. I know who this is. Joni Mitchell is going to be coming on my show next week on Monday, 7 p.m. Central. This is my first mentor that I had when I first started realizing I had abilities. She helped me immensely. Now she just doesn't know what to do with me, so she's just now my really good friend. Still call her my mentor because I like to embarrass her like that. So you'll hear me say that a couple of times just to embarrass her next week, and she'll blush and she'll tell me to stop talking. But thank you again for coming on the show. You guys were an awesome audience, as you always are. Thank you for making Debbie feel so welcome. She had a great time on here. I had a great time with her. She was, like was said, she's a wealth of knowledge. I'm really happy she was on here. If you have any questions, reach out, ask questions. If you have anything for me, you know what? I actually have my own banner. Why don't I actually put that up there? Here's how you can find me. Facebook.com, Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. Twitch, Stuff I Never Learned. YouTube, at Stuff I Never Learned. And if you're looking for me for email, it's just stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. So reach out to me, send me an email, ask questions, make comments. I don't care. Like I said, if you want me to post something for you for advertisement, I'll post it for you. I'll advertise it as long as it's not hurtful or mean or malicious. I don't care. I'm really big on believing that we are here to help each other out. So, want my help? Feel free to ask the questions or send me the notices and I'll put them out there. Anyways, have a great night. Much love to everybody. Stay safe, and I will hopefully see everybody next Monday. Bye.